Welcome to America's Premier Experts. I'm your host, Ben Glass, and each week we interview some of America's top entrepreneurs and small business owners. And today on the program, I have Lance Miller. Lance, congratulations on being named one of America's Premier Experts. You're doing some really cool stuff in the life coaching world. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in a lot of businesses, and I've taken that experience, some life transformation experiences that I've gone through, and did a 360 turn into what I was doing and started my own consulting business. And really in life coaching, I'm really focusing on the younger generation. So what I'm looking
important.
at, yeah, it really is. It's a tough job these days for a parent. Obviously, a child would spend most of their time in school, away from parenting. So a big responsibility falls on the teachers in, the environment that these kids are in actually is something that is molding them for the future. So they need a little something extra to get them over the hump and really instill some values in them that's going to carry them into the future.
As the father of 9 myself, I know how important it is, the conversations around the dinner tables are, and that foundation that we build, and you're helping people with this. So tell me a little bit about your mission. What do you hope happens with kids that you are working with?
Well, I have a slogan that says, do things today that will matter tomorrow. I believe myself that the only constant in life is change. And if you're not expanding, you are either in atrophy,
you're losing.
or you're
sure.
just stagnant. You should always be doing something that's bringing you further along the line. And these kids are involved. What's going into their minds is what they watch on television. Social media is very big these days, and sometimes the message is not really very clear. So if you look at a child, you might see what's important to them is outer space, what they present to the world. What's very important is inner space. And once that is taken care of, once the values and the beliefs and their actions are in line with their intentions and everything is just moving along smoothly, the outward thing that they're so concerned about is actually portrayed very nicely.
Lance, the world today is much different and I think much more difficult for kids than it was when you and I were growing up. You've got a real unique history, especially in the sports world that you were telling me about before we went on the air, that I think is very important for the work you're doing now. Tell me a little bit about your work with young hockey players.
Yeah, I actually came to Canada to play some hockey, which is where I met my wife. And I've been involved in coaching my whole life, whether it's even baseball, football. Hockey is obviously my biggest passion. And this past year, we took in a hockey player, the junior team, as a billet family. And it's a big responsibility when a family will put their child with you.
Now, this is a young player who is actually playing professional in the sort of minor leagues or the youth program, who is away from his family in his town, and you and your wife actually host him and make sure he gets not only the sports, not only the rest, but the education part too, right?
Yes, it's very important, and the influence you have on them is great. So you need to send them out into the world, and obviously sometimes those things will translate to your on-ice performance. So everything needs to be great at home,
Absolutely.
And you need to be instilling the proper values into these children so that when they get on in life and they're actually out on their own, they're able to cope with the difficulties or challenges that may come up.
What are some of the interesting things that you are doing, not as the parent, but as the life coach for these young adults?
Well, I think the bottom line here is that a lot of people do not put enough emphasis on the connection between play and learning. And we try to make it fun. It's not a serious thing here.
It's so different from when you and I were growing up, when kids could play and play in the neighborhood, and now everything is sort of structured.
That is
correct. So you're providing a different way of looking at it, right?
Yeah, and we do think, you have to set boundaries for yourself. In sports, there's boundaries, right? In football, if you go out of bounds, if you set boundaries in your life, you protect yourself. And you have to set goals for yourself as well, which is a very important thing that we do with kids. Yourself, if you don't write down goals, they're just out there. They're just wishes, that's right. And they force you to take action. So these are things that we try to emphasize with the kids that,
Okay. Lance, you talked to us about helping out the junior hockey players who you've billeted or housed at your house. Tell us about how you help other families and other folks.
Excellent. Well, my interpretation on the best way of handling this is that what gets cultivated gets stronger. And I try to take an area that they need the most help in. We try to find out what the root problem is of this, and we get to the bottom of it. Now, I guarantee you that if you were to send your child to me, or if you're someone personally who needs help, that I can get you the results that you need. And that's really what the message that I want to get across today.
That's absolutely terrific. Again, you're someone with a lot of experience, and I'm sure you can help a lot of families, children, and even older folks with this life coaching.
Yes, I believe anybody that really is applying themselves and is trying to make a change in their life, I think that I have something to offer you. I've been through it. I've been there. I know exactly what you feel. And what I know is that most people just want to make a change. They're just not sure how to do it or where to go for help. And they may have tried programs that haven't worked, and I've done them all. So I've kind of put a synergy of everything together, and therefore I'm able to kind of deliver it from my own standpoint. I've gotten the results. I've seen other people get the results, so I'm quite certain anyone who deals with me will get the same results.
You talked to us a little bit about how in the past a young hockey player would come and actually live at your house, I guess for a year or a season. But how does it work today when you're working with a parent of a youngster, a teenager, young adult? How are they actually working with you?
Yeah, well, actually, we'll take one player in, and they'll be living with us.
Okay.
But I actually will deal on a team basis at times, or with a class at school where there's a group of children, and we try to address the issues that are really the most pressing in society today for these kids to actually go on and have themselves
Which
a
are
really...
media, drugs, too many people telling them they don't have to work to be successful, things like that.
Exactly.
Really evils.
I think the important thing is that many kids today do not have the ability to see the potential that they actually have. And they don't have the courage to even think that they deserve more than what they have. So,
right. They aren't thinking like you think, frankly, the way I think, that the world is just a tremendous opportunity to be successful, right? No matter where you started.
Right, that's correct.
I mean, where you started does not dictate where you end up.
No, it does not.
And I think it's really important.
That's a prime example in my life. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have an education, and I don't go out and tell kids school's not important.
No, that's not the message.
That is not the message here. But what I'm trying to say is you don't have to really have things that are concrete to make your life what it is. It's not a degree that will get you something. It's how you live your life, what your intentions are, what actions you take. And if you have a service-oriented attitude in everything you do in life, you're going to be blessed, with good things in your life. And the environment, I can't stress how important an environment is for kids. I mean, you become a product of your environment. So it's very important to surround yourself with good people. You try to create almost a mastermind group of younger people,
yes,
so that they can feed off each other.
Now, are you coaching the parents too? Do you find yourself coaching the parents a little bit too?
Yeah, of course. At times it's necessary, because actually the belief system is where these kids are getting, their core values. And, we're talking belief systems from maybe a little while ago that they've never really worked on. So, yeah, there's definitely a possibility where the parents will need as much work as the kids.
You are really providing a tremendous service, and the world needs more people like you because these kids are under so much influence. For someone who's thinking, oh, this might be a program that's right for my child, and you're a great person to start with, how should they get in contact with you, or what should they do to learn more about you and what it is you offer?
Well, the best way would be to go to my website, which is lancemillerconsulting.com. All the relevant information will be on that website, how you can get a hold of me through email, through telephone. So I'm very reachable and I'm very approachable, and there's nothing that I will turn down, because for me there's no greater value than making a difference in someone else's life. And if you're going to take the time to reach out to me to help you, then I owe it to you to give you everything I have, to live up to my promise and build a friendship as well and a
Sure.
relationship. This isn't fix your problem and we'll see you some
It's
other
not
day.
like here's
Send me a
one
postcard.
workbook and everything is done. But let
Exactly.
me ask you this: when someone does reach out and start to work with you, what should they expect in terms of process? For example, what will happen first?
Well, I mean, we'll set down a plan. We'll set goals. We'll set changes of action, and really get them focused on where they have to go to improve. And it's all about insight, right? It's not always about great programs or things that are methods that you have. It's about
what's
insight.
going on inside the head.
Yeah, and you need
Yeah.
to be able to adjust on the fly. And I think that's an important thing. I use a lot of metaphoric examples with people that sometimes are actually quite ridiculous, but they get the message. You understand? So if I paint a picture of what they need to understand, it's sometimes easier to put it in somewhat of a funny light,
Right.
that they can actually laugh at.
Language
but
they
then,
understand.
And then understand exactly this is what you're getting
Give
at.
us that
and
website again.
It's www.lancemillerconsulting.com.
Lance, obviously you're a successful person. You've been involved in several successful businesses and you understand what it takes to be successful. But we've been in a tough economy. A lot of people are struggling. What's the one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to take either their life or their business to the next level?
I would say there's an exact science to acquiring wealth. And I think, a lot of people think you need to have money to make money.
Sure.
They think that saving is a way to acquire wealth. And if you live with an attitude of abundance, I think this is what is the most important thing. So you need to just live your life that way and understand that acquiring wealth does not mean that you need to take it away from somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lance, again, congratulations on being named one of America's premier experts.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing this information on our program today.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
America.